Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations, continuing on with the world building series, specifically with the materials. We are getting pretty close to being done, but before we continue, I would like to provide a brief shout out to my Patreon supporters. If you would like to join the community, the link is down below. Additionally, for those who don't want to join my Patreon but would like to donate, to thank me for my work, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account. The link for that is also down below. So we are now getting into triplanar so that we can take care of what you see here. For those who need their eyes to be directed, that's fine. You're new. If you see right here, all of this is all clumped up, but when you get back down to the more flat areas, it's perfectly tiled again. What's happening here are these tiles up here are being stretched and deformed because they aren't perfectly viewable in the up down. So stretching happens. What we are going to do is create triplanars so that it looks like this throughout the entire thing. So let's go ahead and I'm going to search here. Go to our base functions. So multi-layers, functions, base functions. I'm going to right click and that's right, material function. And we're going to call this one MF underscore triplanar texture WBT. And open it up. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up a different one so that I can get the library category text. Close that real quick. I'm going to expose this to the library. There we go. Now there are a couple of sections that we need to take care of, and thankfully because of reroute nodes it makes it super easy, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. Before I forget, again, 1.2. Make this easier for you guys to see. There we go. So right here we are going to get a vertex normal world space. For those that don't know what it is, Control Alt. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then you can go to the see full documentation if you would like. And we're going to get an absolute. That way there's absolute value. There we go. Negatives turn into positives. And that's how you do it for those that want to understand how that works. Now that we need a power node, this is going to help with the blending, because otherwise you're going to have it be so faded that it's not going, you're barely going to see the triplanar effect, but you'll still see the stretching underneath, and it doesn't look nice. Well, not the stretching underneath. I'll show you. I'm better at showing than telling. So here we need an input. This one we will call triplanar blending. I'm going to hold down the 1 button, make it a 5, and plug it into here. This one I have set to, we're going to do that, and the priority I have in here is 15, so that's what we're going to do. And out of the power, we want to get a divide, and then we want to get out of the power again a dot product. That goes into the B. Then we want to hold down the 3. We want to make this a 1, 1, 1. Now we're going to want to get a clamp. Turn the minimum into a -1. Let me make sure there's nothing else we did to the... Yep, okay. Then we will get a split component, because we are going to want the G and the B, which is the X and the Y. We're going to come out of here, reroute. No, I need the named one. We're going to call this one G, and for the sake of consistency here, for this one only, well, for this one and the B, and this one's called B, and we will make this one blue, just for consistency on these. And this section is done. So this is going to help the textures blend better together, so you're not seeing the artificial fading that is unrealistic and obviously not in nature. And you'll understand better once we get to that point. So next we want to do is get the UV stuff set up. Right click, get the world position. This isn't necessary, but I like to have it just in case. And the reason why I say it isn't necessary is because if we now come over here, I believe it's in this one. Yeah. It's already in the transform UVs. We open it up. It's right here. It's using it. It's technically not needed. However, I like to have it there anyways. Now for UV scale, we're going to drag out, and we're going to type input, make it smaller, and we're going to call this UV scale. Hold down the 1 to get a 1. Place that in there. Now this one I have in the sort priority is -5. Use this. And then I'm going to copy and paste twice. For the rotation and offset. For those that really want it, I like to keep the options there. This one is -4. This one is -3. In this UV scale _1, we will now do UV rotation. And this _2 is the offset. Hold down the 1 to make that a 0. And because I don't want to forget in my notes for my project, I'm going to change those. There we go. Next thing we want to do is reroute node time. This one is GB. This one is RB. This one is RG. Perfect. The next thing we want to get is a texture 2D, which is a texture object. And obviously we want to get the default diffuse. Believe it's, nope, that's the virtual texture one. We don't want the virtual texture one. Okay, no virtual texture, so we're good. And then we will pull out an input. Obviously we're going to check mark this. This one we keep the sort priority at 0, and we are going to call it texture. Alright. Now we can get on with the necessary code. So let's put these over here. We are going to need 3 texture samples. So let's get a texture sample real quick. Before we copy to duplicate it, we need to make sure we come here to sampler source and make it wrap. Otherwise, we're going to wind up with checkers instead of our textures. So copy, paste, paste. Into this one, we want GB. Oh, we need a reroute here. Texture 2D. Perfect. We want the texture 2D. And then out of this one, we want RB. Copy and paste that. And then out of this one, we want RG. Paste the texture 2D right there. Now, as you can see here, we have things that are stretched, and that's because it's not actually stretched. So right here, this is R and G, which is X and Y. For those that aren't aware, if you look down here in the bottom left, X, Y, Z, there's a reason they're color coordinated. So X is red, Y is green, Z is blue. It helps everyone working in these to remember that, specifically in materials. So that's why these look normal. This is going from the red and blue. So from the Z and X. So if you're looking at it from the Z and X angle, it will look like this. The G and B, if you're looking at it from the Z and Y side, it will look like this. That's why it currently looks stretched. It doesn't look natural, and that's okay. Next thing we want to do is out of the RGB, we're going to make a reroute. We're going to call this RGB1. Reroute RGB2. Reroute RGB3. And finally, we are going to connect everything together. First thing we want to do is hold down the L to get alert. And into here, we're going to put RGB1. And then RGB2. No, not 3, 2. And then from here, we want to get G. So, if you don't remember where G came from, that's right up here. Now, the GB and the RB, when they meet, if there's a focal point where they meet, instead of there being an unrealistic looking fade, it will lessen the amount of the fade based off of our triplanar blending so that it looks more as natural as possible. It still doesn't look 100%, and that's okay. It's the limitations of technology with using landscape materials, and that's okay. So now we want to hold down the L to get another alert. And we want to get the RGB3. And then for the alpha, we want to get the B. There we go. Now we place that right in here. And as you can see, it now looks relatively normal. If I were to come to just get this one right here, you see the stretching. To place that in there, the stretching is no longer there. You see a little bit of fading, and in order to change that, I believe I have this at like 20. Now the fading is a lot less noticeable, and it just looks natural. It looks like it belongs. That is triplanar, ladies and gentlemen. And now that we have that, there's one more thing we need to do. It's very important to have because of our mask for the ambient occlusion, roughness, and displacement. So we want a breakout float 3 to get the RGB, and we're going to get an output. We want a function output. We want to name this one R. Copy, paste, paste. This one G. This one B. There we go. And obviously we want to name the number these 1, 2, 3. I don't like that they're not capitalized. Let me fix that. There we go. And that is our triplanar texture. So now when we come over here, we have triplanar texture. And we have everything set up how we need it. Thank you guys for watching. In the next one, we will get the normal ready because there is a different setup that we need. It's more complicated that we need to get set up for the normal. And then after that, we will go ahead and get this set up so that you can choose between not having triplanar and having triplanar. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.